On this week's episode, we're going to be building this outboard motor stand. Building it almost entirely out of scrap wood. I think there was one 2x4 that I ended up using that was off the shelf that had been uncut. But other than that, everything was cut-offs and trash wood, as was the hardware that I used, was leftover hardware from other projects that I've done. The features of this outboard motor stand are that it's as compact as I reasonably could make it while still using it for a test stand. So I had to have room down there for some kind of a bucket or a barrel of water to put my motors down into. It's also built to accommodate my long shaft motor, which would obviously goes about 5 inches deeper than or lower than this 20 horse that I have on there right now. One of the other features of this outboard motor stand is that it is designed to be moved around with a hand truck. Being a tiller, the tiller tends to get in the way a little bit, but it also fits between the hand truck just fine, between the uprights of the hand truck. I like this style over it being mounted on casters because these wheels on the hand truck are a bit more all-terrain, so they can go around uneven surfaces, going around the grass, anywhere that's soft. If you have a dirt floor for your workshop or garage, this would roll right over it just nicely. That's if it would have been on casters, it wouldn't have that same mobility or an all-terrain feature, if you will. The other thing with the casters is it requires a larger footprint of the motor stand, and I like the idea that when I don't need this, it takes up the least amount of space possible. So we're going to get into how I built this, and give me a thumbs up, likes, if you like what you see and you want to see more content. Okay, for our first step of assembly, we're going to take one of each of the legs. In my case, I cut them at 34 inches, again, to accommodate the long shaft of my tallest motor. And then I'm going to take what's actually going to be acting as the transom where we attach the motor. I'm going to attach that to the end of each of these two legs, making sure that these form a 90-degree angle on both sides. It's a good idea to pre-drill your holes when you're going to be anywhere near the end on the grain of wood to keep it from splitting. In this case, in this particular attachment, I'm using some deck screws to hold it in place for right now. I do plan on using some carriage bolts or some heavier hardware in order to attach that. I just don't have it on at my workshop right now. So when I get a chance to hit the hardware store, I will be picking those up and replacing these screws with some more significant hardware. Okay, so our next step, we're going to double up. Some people call this Mary, some people call this sister. These two 2x4s together. When we butt all the way up against that temporary transom, we'll name it, and it'll be shy of the end of this board. This is 23¼ inches long in my case. Okay, and then we'll just repeat it for the other side. All right, so this is step 3. I'm going to attach the feet. As you can tell, by adding these two 2x4s, there's a spot for it right here. Understanding we're going to be screwing into the end grain of this 4x4. Obviously, that's not the strongest way to attach two pieces of wood, but we will be bracing that's going to accommodate for any loss of structural integrity there. All right, rinse and repeat for the other side. Okay, now that we have the feet on the uprights and the transom, you'll see this actually is probably plenty sturdy to hold up most motors, you know, in the small portable displacement realm up to maybe 25 horse. You know, I wouldn't think twice about sitting on here. Hopefully it doesn't tip backwards. So even just end screwed into the end grain, this is sturdy enough to hold me up. However, one of the points of this motor stand was that I could use a hand truck to move around my motors instead of putting casters on it that would add to instability. Plus the fact that sometimes I'm moving this around on uneven terrain, like the yard. So to be able to move it around with a hand truck with larger wheels would be accommodating. So to ensure that it's sturdy enough for that, I'm going to put some knee bracing on either side here. And we'll also have to put some more structure horizontally across the back in order for the hand truck to have something to scoop onto. All right, our next step will be adding knee bracing. Just put 45-degree miters on the either end of these 2x4s. Using this speed square, try to get us as close to 90 degrees as possible. Again, this is one of those places where pre-drilling is critical to keep the wood from splitting out. All right, so now it's for the horizontals that are really, the only purpose of these is to help with using a hand truck to move this around. So I'm going to use one of these 1x4s, that's just a cutoff, to give me spacing so there's plenty of room to slide the forks of the hand truck under. So as you can see, you had to utilize a couple different clamps. This is the old wood. Some of it's drier than other. Some of it was stored more properly. Some of it started twisting and everything. So I ended up using a clamp here to hold this in place, but a clamp here at this end to actually separate the feet to make it 90 degrees. So eventually I'll end up having to do something at that end to brace that, to keep that square if I care about that. Oh, that hit that other screw. All right, so our next horizontal is going to do another one further up here. We'll say somewhere around there. I'll get it equal on both sides, equal heights, but put somewhere right around here again, so the hand truck can scoop down here And this has something for it to fall back onto other than the motor plate. What, 9 1/4? Actually, that was dead on. Perfect. All right, so here's our finished motor stand for our outboard, or outboards. If you have a couple portables, you might be able to fit 2 on here. Let's go get it to work. All right, so this should be pretty easy to use. It is light enough to move by hand, but once the motor is on it, you're going to want the hand strut. And there we have it. Thanks for joining me this week. The project cost about $5, maybe $6 just because of the carriage bolts that I didn't already have on hand. All the lumber was either cut-offs or lumber that I had left over from previous projects. So that didn't cost me anything on this trip. Of course, it cost me something when I originally purchased the wood. It took me about 55 minutes to build the whole thing, and of course that's while recording, so you could foreseeably do it in much less time. It's not hard to do. Anyone can accomplish it, whether you use power tools, and you could even do it with hand tools, just a hammer, nails, and a handsaw if you needed to, and you could end up with something just the same as mine. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you see, and I hope to see you again next week.